Hello, my intuitives. Robert J. Conley here, coming to you from the Robert J. Conley studio. All right, intuitives. Why do you feel unappreciated? Now, lumping all intuitives together is pretty much like lumping any other group together. There are all kinds of exceptions, and no less true for this. So, there are certain intuitives whose makeup, what I'm going to talk about is not necessarily an issue. They're good at getting paid. They're good. Well, actually, they're kind of indifferent to appreciation. They're just really good at negotiating and getting paid for what their intuition brings to the table. But this conversation is for those who feel like, well, okay, great, I'm intuitive, but I'm not making any money, or haven't gotten paid, or I feel unappreciated. Boy, this thing just isn't working the way I thought it would be. Great, I'm intuitive. What do I do now? So I want to explain to you up front, first of all, some of the challenges about being intuitive. So intuition is abstract. Intuition it oftentimes causes more questions. And as you remember, I've said to you that your intuition should cause work. But anyway, intuition causes more questions. Intuition, vision is a function of intuition. Your intuition you have a certainty about your intuition that is unprovable to others without work. And depending on how deep your intuition is, it could be minutes of work or years of work. So your contribution is abstract. Vision is one of those examples. Certainty is another example of that abstraction. Another thing that intuitives bring, which is not only the domain of intuitives, but is a strength of many, is pragmatism. What will work? What is the wisdom here? Dealing in the domain of the unknown. So there are plenty of people, and you remember the rear view mirror looking guys who I've called guardians. They can tell you what you should do based on what's worked in the past. What intuitives bring is an ability to see what could work in the future. And again, like I said, up front, it's not provable. Intuitives, the feeling intuitives, the idealists bring enthusiasm. No other group is more enthusiastic. Well, how do you pay for enthusiasm? Well, you can go through a bunch of complicated formulas, all that stuff, but enthusiasm has its place in the marketplace, in the continuum. And so anyway, intuitives can bring about a spirit of cooperation, and intuitives can bring velocity to things by seeing possibilities, by seeing the way things can be done. And so the important thing for intuitives to know is that you will be called upon to prove your intuition is right. Now, again, I'm repeating myself here, and I'm gonna probably keep repeating this because I've coached a lot of intuitives for whom this is really hard to understand. But one of the important parts about embracing your intuition is also learning to negotiate up front to be compensated for it. And so intuitives who are in marketing jobs, in strategic jobs, who can deal with the unknown, bring certainty and velocity to things, now have an opportunity to get paid. And for the most part, as an intuitive and as a creative person, you are going to be much better off negotiating for compensation by negotiating for compensation by virtue of if-thens. If I do this, then you will pay me that. And the way that you will really, do very, very well is with that. Because if you go in with just a straight salary, you will never get compensated to the fullest degree of what your contribution is. So intuitives need to, as much as your metabolism can allow, if you really want to, hit it, if you really want good income, is you've got to be willing to spec, and you've got to be willing to negotiate up front. And as I say that, the hardest part of that is also getting the other side, and especially the guardian types, to negotiate in this area of the unknown. And so intuitives, you need to build your skills in in understanding how to carve that out, how to say, okay, if if sales increase this much, I'm not going to claim 100% of what that was worth, but I am going to lay claim, for example, on new business, and I'm due 10% of that new business during the first year. That's just an example. That's not a formula to live by. That's nothing, but it's illustrative of how you intuitives who are feeling underpaid and unappreciated can start to make more economic progress. Um, so, you, as I've said in the past, don't attempt to answer their skepticism. Their skepticism can only be proven by the work of others, and one of the promises of your intuition is that you will cause that work to happen. And so, finally, what I want to drive home is that because intuitives are by definition abstract thinkers and do not have concrete proof, but you're dealing, and remember, you're only somewhere between 12 and 20% of the population, and so most of the population, we'll say 80% of the population, wants concrete proof, wants it to be verifiable, wants to be able to look at it. And so if you don't negotiate up front, what happens is that once it happens and it's concrete, your contribution will get completely diminished. People will act as if, oh, well, that would have happened anyway. And you can look at it in the technology, whatever technology sector, everything that we have based on technology today started with intuition. And today we take iPhones for granted. 13 years ago in 2007, Steve Jobs had an uphill fight to bring those to the market. And it was only by virtue of his determination. And so you need to understand that you are most certain up front when you have your intuitive connection. You need to stand by your intuitions. You need to demand that others listen to them. You need to also be open to the fact that your intuitions aren't always right, but you can't allow yourself to be subjected to the conjecture of others. You need to stand for work being performed that proves that you're right or wrong. And when you do that up front and you negotiate for compensation, you now have the opportunity to be in a much stronger economic position than you were prior to that. And as always, I hope this made sense. That's what I've got today. Take care.